Hi folks and welcome back to another video. My name is Shah and this is Thoroughly Enjoyed Books. And today I'm bringing you my March TBR, which is essentially an Irish readathon TBR. So in previous years I've always made March, which is the month of the Irish Readathon, hosted by Aoife and Leanne from Leanne Rose and Words of Clover. I will leave links to them down below. I normally only read Irish books in March, but this year I also want to read quite a lot of the Women's Prize long list as well, and I think there's a very slim chance that all the books on that long list are going to be Irish. So I am going to do an Irish readathon TBR and I will see what comes up on the Women's Prize long list and also add those to my TBR when the time comes. But I have picked out some books that I am going to be reading in March for the Irish Readathon, all by Irish authors. There are some prompts for the readathon, but I just tend to read as much Irish fiction as I possibly can rather than complete the prompts. But I will review the prompts at the end of the month to see how many I inadvertently did fulfill. I will say that one of the challenges is to read a book that has some incorporation or some relation to the number 7, and for that I am going to try and read 7 books. That is my goal, and I'm not going to say which one is going to be the 7th read, just whichever one is the 7th read will fulfill that prompt. So that's why I've got this many books. These are all books off my TBR, so I haven't bought any new ones for this readathon. Some of these have been on my shelves for quite a few years, so I want to get to them. And then one book I have got from the library. If you've seen my TBRs in the past for these readathons, none of those videos are public, so you'll have to use your memories. You might recognise some of these books because I've had quite a few of them on my TBRs for a few years, and I've said I'm going to read them like every year for the past 3 years. So I'm gonna stop rambling and instead get on to the books. The first book that I'm going to talk about is actually the group book. I've managed to get my hands on a copy of The Rachel Incident by Caroline O'Donoghue. I wanted to buy a copy of this from an independent bookshop and literally trawled Cumbria trying to find it and could not find a copy anywhere, but then I did find a copy at my library. So this is the group read. This follows Rachel, who has fallen in love with her male professor, and she sets up a plan with her friend to seduce him. However, she finds that this male friend and her male professor might be a little bit closer than she thinks, and it begins to push their relationship to the limits. Apparently it's unconventional and messy. This made it onto so many people's favourite books of the year list last year. I've heard nothing but amazing things and I really can't wait to get to this one. I'm actually really excited about it. I've also predicted it to be on the Women's Prize long list. I don't know if it will be, but I'm hoping that there's at least some crossover so that I can get to it and kill 2 birds with 1 stone. So this is A Ghost in the Throat by Doreen Negrifa. This is a book that I was sent from my lovely friend Rosie a very long time ago now. I was still living in Leicester, I think, when I was sent this book, and this follows 2 timelines, 2 interconnected storylines, I believe, that are set hundreds of years apart. It explores the deep connection between 2 writers who are centuries apart, one of whom is in the 1700s, who discovers that her husband has been murdered and drinks handfuls of his blood and writes an amazing poem about it. And then in the present day we follow a young mother who narrowly avoids tragedy and finds that poem and becomes obsessed with the echoes of it in her own life. It does say that this sculpts essay and autofiction, so I'm interested how this is and what this is going to be like, but it sounds fascinating and it's one I really want to get to. Some more books that have been on my TBR for years and years and years. The Wonder by Emma Donoghue. I don't want to talk too much about this book because I have had this on every Irish Readathon TBR since I started participating, which must have been at the latest 2020. This is about a young girl who is institutionalised, and it's claimed that she hasn't eaten for a really long time, but she hasn't lost any weight, she isn't getting ill. And then we follow a matron or a nurse of some description who goes to see if this is true. This has been made into a TV show or a film with Florence Pugh, who is an actress I absolutely adore, so I really want to watch that as well as read this year. I've had it on my TBR for actual years. I remember buying this hardback when it was first released, and that was in 2016. Need to get my acting gear and actually read this one. 8 years is a really long time. We all know that I am a Normal People by Sally Rooney stan. That is my favourite book of all time. I own about 5 copies of it. I've annotated copies of it. I absolutely adore it. One of my booktube highlights is that I was actually sent a proof of Beautiful World, Where Are You?, which is her latest book, which came out nearly 3 years ago, and I still haven't finished this book. I actually DNF'd it, and I'm not sure whether that is because I didn't enjoy the book or just because of where my mind was at when I was sent this to review. I was literally sent it during my move back from Leicester to Cumbria, and just everything was all over the place in my brain, and when I tried to read this I just couldn't focus on it. I have obviously the hardback. I bought it immediately, and I will continue to buy all of Sally Rooney's books, but I've just never come back to it, and I've since learned that I might not be a Sally Rooney stan, I might actually just be a Normal People stan. But this follows a group of friends and their relationships with each other. A lot of it is told through emails, and when it comes to Sally Rooney, that is basically what her books are about. They are just about the relationships between people, which is something I really enjoy. I do like reading about the mundanities of life and relationships and people. For some reason it didn't hit the nail on the head when I tried to read it. In a much better mindset now to focus on it, so hopefully we'll finally get to it this year. But in a similar vein, I have Exciting Times by Nisha Dolan. I've DNF'd this before. I want to persevere and read it, so this is going to be its final chance. This is about a woman who's moved to Hong Kong and the relationship that she starts there with a man who... Is he in a relationship already? He's a rich man anyway. It's bisexual fiction. It is about Ava, who moves to Hong Kong and she meets Julian and a woman called Edith, I think, and has a relationship with the two of them and explores sexuality and her life goals and what she expects to make of herself in Hong Kong. I've heard mixed reviews about this, and like I said, I've already DNF'd it several times before, but I need to get to it, and like I said, this will be my final chance with this book. If I don't like it this time, then I will be getting rid of it. It has been compared to Normal People, but its reviews are just not anywhere near as good as Normal People. Kind of want to read a Marian Keys book in every one of these readathons, but I haven't done that so far. I think I've only done it once. But I did buy this book a couple of years ago to read for the Irish Readathon, and that is The Break by Marian Keys. I read Grown Ups by her a couple of years ago and really enjoyed it, and I want to get to more of her books. I was tempted to pick up Rachel's Holiday, which is about a young woman who goes to rehab. However, because I'm currently at the very early stages of my own sobriety journey, I don't know if I'm necessarily in the best place to read that one. So I have The Break. This is about a couple who go on a break. Amy's husband Hugh has told her that he's not divorcing her, he still loves her, he just needs some time away from her and the family, and explores a little bit from everyone's perspective. She does these amazing family sagas that just look at everything that is going on and are beautiful. They are really big books. This one in particular is 560-ish pages. So not the biggest, but still quite a chunk, but they are really quick reads. I think I read Grown Ups, which is about 650, in one day. I absolutely devoured it. So I'm looking forward to reading more of her work. I think Northern Ireland and Ireland are both eligible, that's not the right word, are both included in this readathon. So I finally want to get to Hamlet by Bagi O Farrell. I believe that Paul Mescal is playing Shakespeare in the adaptation of this, and I think it might be coming out this year. If not, it's coming out next year. I don't think there's long for us to wait at all. I've heard amazing things about this one as well. This is historical fiction about Shakespeare's wife, and I really want to know what the Flea chapter is about. I've heard nothing but amazing things about this. I've heard Victoria from What Victoria Read talk about it. I've heard Shannon from 155 Books rave about it. I think everybody loves this book. So I finally want to get to it. And then, like I said, I am going to be reading some books from the Women's Prize long list, and hopefully some Irish books will be on there because Irish fiction has been just dominating prizes lately. I'll be really glad to pick up any books by Irish authors for the Irish Readathon that are also on the Women's Prize, but I will also be reading other books from the Women's Prize long list this month as well. But since that isn't announced until the 5th of March, I actually can't tell you what they are going to be. So we are going to focus on the Irish books for now and see how many of these I can get through. So here are again all the books that I plan on reading in March. Do let me know if you have read any of these books, and if you have, what did you think of them? And leave your... The light just went off. This is happening a lot lately. I think we're just going to have to continue without that light bulb, I'm afraid. So here are all the books that I plan on reading in the month of March. Do let me know in the comments down below if you've read any of these, and if you have, what did you think of them? And please tell me your predictions for which ones you think I will enjoy the most. As usual, I will leave my links to my Storygraph and my Instagram and all that fun stuff down below, so you can come and follow me on there and talk to me about books. And I'll see you in another video very, very soon. Take care. Bye!